Hello, my name is Karen, and I've been making kombucha the last few weeks, and I would like to share with you how I make it so you can also make it at home. We are going to make 1 gallon of kombucha, and this is for the first fermentation. We'll need 1 gallon of water, that's 3.8 liters. Water can be warm or cold, but not hot. We need 12 tablespoons of black tea. It can also be 12 bags, and that we're going to steep for 10 minutes. We need 1.5 cups of sugar and the SCOBY, which is the bacteria that is going to make our kombucha taste delicious. After we have the ingredients, we also need to make sure we have a container where we can let our kombucha ferment for, it's going to be 7 to 10 days. And we need some cheesecloth so we can, or some type of thin cloth so we can cover the kombucha with it. So to start making our kombucha for the first fermentation, we're going to first add the water to our container. This water is cold. This is going to add up to 3.5 liters. This is where I have my tea. I added the black tea and let it steep for 10 minutes. Let's make sure that the water is not too warm before we add it, because if the water is too warm, it might kill our SCOBY, our bacteria. So I added the water and make sure no tea is in our container. After that, we add the sugar. That's 1.5 cups of sugar. It's better if you use organic sugar or high quality sugar because it will give the flavor to our kombucha. We're going to add our SCOBY, which is the bacteria that is going to basically make our kombucha. So we can add, I have a few SCOBYs here. We can add a small one or a big one. It doesn't really matter because it's gonna feed off the sugar and it's gonna grow inside of our container. So I add the SCOBY. Make sure your water is not too warm so it doesn't kill your SCOBY. And then we're going to cover our kombucha with our thin cloth. We need to make sure there is some air coming in, and we're going to make it tight. And we should put it in a dark place. We're going to let it ferment from 7 to 10 days. After the 7th day, you start testing the pH of the kombucha, and it should be between 2.5 or 3.5. And that's an indication that the kombucha is ready for the second fermentation. It's been 8 days since we started fermenting the kombucha, and we're going to see if it's ready after the 8th day. So we remove the cloth that we put on top, and we check to make sure that the SCOBY doesn't have any colors, that it looks healthy. This SCOBY looks really good. So we are going to put one of our pH strips to see if the pH of the kombucha is between 2.5 or 3.5, which is the ideal for when it is ready after the first fermentation. So I'm gonna cut a little strip and put it inside in a way that it touches the liquid. And so if you come closer, you're going to see the color of the strip, which is a little bit lighter than 4.5. So I estimate that it is ready. So I estimate that the pH should be around 2.5, 3.5. And the kombucha is ready to be bottled for the second fermentation. So first thing I do, I remove the SCOBY from the container. I have this little container where I keep my SCOBY. I usually keep it with some kombucha so that it doesn't get bad. And it can be a little challenging to remove. There we go. yeah, so if you're storing your SCOBY, make sure you leave it in a dark place with some kombucha with it, so it doesn't get bad. Okay. Then I'm going to bottle my kombucha so I can start the second fermentation. To bottle it, I have these recycled bottles with dark glass. I will start filling up my bottles. I don't want to fill it until the top because I need to leave room for the fermentation. Fermentation is going to produce gas, and we're still going to add some kombucha with flavors on it, so you leave some room at the top. And the idea is to just fill up all of the bottles. And for this recipe, we're going to use half a gallon of kombucha, which will be around half of this container. So after you finish filling up all the bottles, we are going to make the thing that we're going to add to it. You can add whatever you want. The easiest thing to add is just honey, and honey will also ferment with the kombucha. So in this case, I will use ginger, turmeric, and honey. I will start by putting 1.2 cups of kombucha into this cup measure, so I can mix it with the ingredients, and then I can split it among the bottles with kombucha. So I add it to my container. Probably added a little bit too much. Then you will add the ingredients. So in this case, ginger. So you peel the ginger and you cut it into pieces so it's easy to mix it. You can add as much ginger as you want. Depends on how intense you want the flavor of your kombucha. Second, you're gonna add half a teaspoon of turmeric. Also, if you want a stronger turmeric flavor, you add more. There we go. Okay. And then you can add 6 teaspoons of honey if you want it a little bit sweet, but it can also be a little bit less honey if you want it less sweet. Remember, the honey, the sugar in the honey is what is going to cause the fermentation. So it also, depending on what you make the fermentation with, that's how the kombucha is going to taste. So I put the ingredients in the blender. After you mix everything, you are going to split all the ingredients into equal parts to add it to your bottles where you have the kombucha. So after all of the bottles are filled up, you take the mix and you add it. So I have this little cup measure. So you follow this process. Every bottle, you close it, and then you store it in a dark place. Thank you. Enjoy your kombucha.